All right, welcome into another episode of the ACC Insider Pod. And listen, there's only one guy we could get this week. All right, there's only one guy. This was like the easiest pick of all of the Insider Pods this year, and it's the guy who took down Duke and Carolina within a 48-hour span. Brad Brownell, Clemson head coach. When I say that, okay, you've been doing this a long time. You've been at Clemson a long
Yeah.
time. If I could have told you you would have beaten both Duke and Carolina in a 2 day span, what would you have said?
Well, I do think we've been pretty good here lately, so we've gotten them a few times. But just to play them back to back like that's different. And to play them at home in front of our fan base, our guys certainly expected to win. I mean, we're a confident group, we're an older group, but it was a great couple of days just for our fan base, our students. I mean, just the emotion of it all, the energy in the building. I mean, just electric. It's been great. A little worn out now. A lot of film study and team meetings and all
Yeah.
that, but really happy for our team.
Yeah, when you saw it in the schedule earlier this year, were you like, oh man, like we got to weather the storm early? Then again, like you look at that and you're like, come on, like what's the league doing to me here?
Well, it's funny. You look at it, and like you're hopeful that that's going to be a pivotal week in your season, right? We
Yeah.
need to play ourselves into a position where those games matter, and because it's going to matter for Duke and Carolina, and so obviously we were able to do that. So the energy and excitement around campus has been great. It's been building. People have been talking about that,
Yeah.
that stretch of games for all season. To have those guys, and then have Kentucky, when the ACC SEC challenge, to have those guys, three blue bloods in here is pretty fun.
And to beat all three is insane. I mean, insane if you think about it. 20-5, 12-2 in the league. You've won 8 of your last 9. What's it been? What has there been anything different, or is it just kind of like a lot of other teams? It took some time because you had a bunch of new pieces to try to assimilate with some of the retaining guys.
Yeah, I just, it hasn't been anything in particular. I think our team's done a good job of figuring out different ways to win. Some games we've been really good defensively. We've had games where we've shot the three well, like North Carolina. We made 12 threes. Against Duke, they do such a good job of guarding your three. You have to score in other ways, and so we were very efficient from two. I think we kind of still are old school, run a lot of high-low stuff, so we're built to do some of that. And I think that was good for us in that game. And Victor Locken, I think, is a big part of our team. He had a great weekend and played great in both games. And I do think it's taken him a little longer than maybe some of the others to get more comfortable and just get to the point where he knows that we're counting on him. We've lost a couple games this year where he's gotten in foul trouble and hadn't played much, and that's cost us. But when he's out on the floor 25 minutes, it just changes our team.
It's funny because you are playing the two bigs a lot, right? And that's not traditionally the way the game has gone
Yeah.
here. Now they're skilled, they're able to step out and do some
Yep.
things, but still, it's not, the way
Yeah.
we've seen college
Right.
basketball go. When you brought in Locken, obviously with Ian, how did you envision that working, or were you a little bit concerned about how much they could play together?
No, that was the plan from the start. Obviously we went to this about 3 years ago when we had PJ Hall, and really it was the emergence of Ian Shefflin that kind of forced our hand. We just felt like Ian was going to be a really good player as a sophomore, and we knew that he probably was an undersized center, or a big, strong power forward. And so we just felt like the power forward role was where it was going to be with PJ here. And he was too good a rebounder, too good a competitor to keep off the floor. And so, we switched some of what we do to the high-low type stuff. I think it was a great move for us. We moved Hunter Tyson at that time to the wing, so we got really big. And we've played that way, for the last couple of years. It's been good for us on both ends of the floor, but to have extra size for defense.
You've hit it in the portal really well. Like I think you guys are really undervalued in terms of, people talk about some other teams. Obviously, we know what Tennessee's done. They've hit it with like two big time guys. But I feel like your success rate over the last couple of years is really, really high in the portal. How much of that can be attributed to a little bit of luck, and how much is just, hey, doing your homework,
Yeah.
trying to know who you're bringing in? Because for you too, Brad, it's a lot of it is character. Let's be
Yeah.
honest here. You're
Yeah.
not rolling the dice on
Right.
somebody.
Right.
That's not you.
Yeah. No, it is. my staff has done a great job. Lucas McKay is kind of our director of recruiting, so he's the guy that spearheads it at the beginning, and then Sean Dixon and Coach Bender and Coach Donlin, those guys do a terrific job of doing the homework behind the scenes. I think it's helped. We've gotten guys within our league. Joe Girard, Jack Clark last year, guys we competed against. Joe for 4 years, Jack for a year at NC State, and then obviously this year with Jaden Zachary is a guy we're very familiar with. And so we knew what we were getting in terms of players, and we thought we knew what we were getting in terms of people. The more you get into it, you understand. Victor, we had some folks at Cincinnati that we knew, that we trusted, that helped us with information on him. But there's no doubt that you're still crossing your fingers a little bit when you get them, and like, what do you really have? And then is it what you think it is? I think we've done a really good job. We knew the blend with Jaden and Chase Hunter was different than Joe Girard and Chase Hunter.
Yep.
But I think I knew that Chase would be a guy that I thought could get us 17, 18 a game. I didn't think we could get one of those guys in the portal. And so kind of changing Chase's role to more of a scorer this year, and then finding a guy who could help guard the ball and take some of the pressure off him. He had to guard the ball last year and do a lot. Obviously, Joe was a shooter who fit perfectly with PJ. Jaden Zachary has been so good on the ball defensively. He's such a competitor. He and Chase play really well, just like Joe and Chase played really well, but it's different.
Against Duke, I'm watching that game, and I'm like, to be honest, I'm looking at it, and I've seen Cooper Flagg play 25 times.
Yeah.
I'm like, this doesn't look like Cooper. Like,
yeah.
I don't early. Now, the last 6 minutes, he looked like Cooper Flagg.
No question.
And I'm sure you were like, uh-oh. Like, was it something you guys did differently with him? Because he didn't look as assertive, or was it him probably being a little bit under the weather?
It might be, yeah. No, we didn't do anything that was other people hadn't tried or anything like that. It wasn't, we don't have a magic pill down here that somebody on our team took to be able to stop Cooper Flagg. That's not going to happen. He probably was a little bit under the weather. I think, our guys were amped up, and obviously the building was electric, and, we played with good force on defense. I thought we were aggressive. That was, to our advantage. I do think we did some good things there, but he probably didn't have his A game that night in terms of feeling well, and hopefully we had a little bit to do with it, but he certainly showed it in the last 6 or 8 minutes that he can turn it up to another level. And what a phenomenal player. I tell you, John's doing a great job. He does an unbelievable job. That's not an easy situation for anybody to take over, and for him to have them playing the way they're playing on both ends of the floor. They run great stuff. They've got a great temperament about them. He's done a terrific job there.
Yeah, really underrated, I think. Again, because you expect it, right? It's Duke. Everybody's just expecting them. But I think what he's done this year is, again, put together a team that fits. And that's kind of everything now, isn't it, Brad? I mean, because you can bring in all the talent you want, and I'm not going to name names here, but certain programs certainly did that this year with a lot of money, a lot more money than you guys have. But when you look at the fit, especially when you're only coaching a group for 8 months now, and you're not looking at it like you used to, right? When you're trying to put together a team and looking forward for the next 3 or 4 years, you can't anymore, right? I mean, you're legitimately maybe a year, 2 down the line potentially, but you can't think that you're going to have a kid for 4 years anymore like you had with PJ or Ian.
Yeah, I think it's hard. You're trying to find out how much kids really care, right? And what do they care about? Do they care about winning? And I think that's a big part of it. And it's hard to know, and because when things start going sideways, it can change, right? And you just don't know until people are with you. Obviously, having a good culture, that word that we all talk about, but having some guys that are in your program that are about the right things helps. We've had that. So the assimilation for new guys coming in is a little bit easier, and this is just how we do things. And you better join into this is how coach likes it. And if you don't, we're going to have some problems. But we've been able to find the right kind of kids that want to be coached and want to work and get better and want to have a chance to do something special. And I think that's you're not going to do anything special alone. You got to do it with other people. And that's the biggest thing we talk about with our team all the time.
All right, give me on the Brad Brownell fun meter, on the fun meter over the years at Clemson. Where are you at right now? Because again, part of it is obviously the way the game is right now. You're probably not having as much fun when the offseason hits.
Yeah.
Right? The offseason's not easy.
Hard.
Yeah, you're looking like you're probably dreading, April, right? April and thinking about the portal
Yeah.
and dealing with all of that. But give me like on the court right now, because let's face it, like you've had some ups and
Yeah.
downs over the
Yeah.
course of your career. People know
Yeah.
that at Clemson.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if you can exhale now. I think probably where you're at in your life, you can exhale a
Right.
lot more than you could have 10 years ago, right?
Yeah, I think that's well said. My daughters are older, gotten them through school. They came here, they were in the fourth grade and the seventh grade. My wife and I used to talk about all the time, initially, hey, can we get them to high school? Can we get them through high school, right? Can we be here long enough to get them through high school? And then ironically, they both chose to go to Clemson. So then it's like, wow, that sounds good, but when your dad's not having a good season and catching hell, like, and your daughters are on campus, we're all living it together. Um,
That's brutal, right?
but then it
That's
was, can we
brutal.
get them through that?
Yeah.
And, we have, and I'm older now, I'm 56. I've been doing this a long time. Been fortunate to be at Clemson for 15 years. It's a great place, great administration and support. And, proud of what we've been able to do. So yeah, that part of it, I've been able to exhale a little bit. But the job itself is still very, very challenging. And as you mentioned, the off season, and the time you have to spend with your players, the amount of time, obviously the basketball itself, but you got to spend a lot of time with all these guys that you're coaching every day. And that there's a wearing effect. Your battery's got to be charged up, and that's hard to do sometimes.
The good thing is you got a young AD and Graham Neff who you just send him out there to raise all that money. You don't even have to deal with that. Just like Graham, raise all the money. And there is something to be said, though, about that, Brad, isn't it? Where if you're a coach who has to get out there, and I know you obviously
Yeah.
go out and do some things,
Yeah.
but if you're a coach who's out there all the time, raising money, right, having to do that, it takes away from what you were hired to do,
Right.
what you want to do, which is coach your team and make
Yeah.
these kids better.
Yeah, well, I've had to do that a lot.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
I've done that for 15 years here because we just didn't, it wasn't really thought of that we could have a good basketball team consistently, and we didn't have the facilities that we needed. And so I've been doing that for all 15 years, and I've had some great help with IPTAY, a guy named Aaron Dunham that has been kind of by my side. He actually got hired right after I did, and so we've been together for 15 years, but we've been working this thing forever. But as you said, man, it takes a lot of work, and it does drain you at times. I mean, I think more than most folks realize that your job is to coach basketball, win games, but when you are doing all those other things, it's challenging. But fortunately for us, we've been able to build something here that's been pretty solid and gotten bigger and stronger the last several years. And certainly it's helped with our program as this NIL world has changed.
Yeah, it has, no doubt. Are you dreading, kind of like I said, where you love right now, you're in
Yeah.
it, you're coaching, you're scouting, you're preparing all that, but around the corner,
Yeah.
what's not that far away.
Yeah, April's tough, man. It's not easy. You just the uncertainty is so. I mean, you can't even predict what's going to happen. And try that the thing that we all want, like we all want control, like we all want a plan, try to organize a plan, and that month for a while is just kind of chaotic, and and then the decision making that you're making at that time, those decisions are so important that you got to be at your best for that time of the year. And obviously you better have a really good staff. Thankfully I do.
Yeah, and you better retain. I mean, I've said this over and over. I think like if you can retain like 4 of your top 8,
Right.
realistically, right? Like 4 of your top 8, bring in a couple transfers, bring in maybe a high school kid or two, one who's, in that top 7 or 8.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
kind of I don't know if there's a formula, but I assume you want 4 of your top 8 back, or else it might be a tough season.
I think that eases the chances of big risk, right? Obviously, the more new folks you're bringing in at one time, the more dangerous that can be. That everybody's going to buy in, and that we're all going to understand what it is. And it also takes longer than when you have more new guys. It takes longer to figure out what you want to do, how you want to do things. And sometimes in this world where everything is fast, that patience isn't always there.
Come on, you don't have patience at 56? You should have more. You should have more patience now than you had.
I should now. Exactly.
You probably
ask my
don't.
wife. I don't.
Yeah,
That's not
exactly.
part of the plan.
How's Ian doing health-wise now? He plays so damn hard. I feel like he's always banged up.
Yeah. this has been a tough year for him that way. He's just had a lot of little nagging things, whether it's a calf strain or, back strain and just, but he gives everything he's got. We obviously try to be very careful with him in practices. He spends a lot of time in the training room, but the guy's just an absolute warrior. He's one of those kids you love coaching. He's all about Clemson, gives you everything he's got, and obviously a very beloved player here.
All right, so you're coming off these two, and your guys are as high as they can be. Let's be honest, but they're veterans. I mean, you've got one of the older teams, I assume, in the country. I don't know what the average age is, but it's up there. How do you keep them locked in? Do you worry about it at all? Are you talking to them about, hey, we got Florida State coming in on the road. We got Florida State and SMU on the road here. These are dangerous games. You can't. I mean, you go 0-2.
Yeah,
and then
no question.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you handle it?
You're talking to your guys about those things. And it's more about what you have the opportunity to do. I mean, obviously you can paint the negative picture if you want. And I think sometimes we all like, hey, they're overlooking somebody or, they weren't ready to play. I get tired of that question. They're not ready. Hey, how about the other team just played really well?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, they got really good players too, and they got good coaches down there. And you know what? They had a night where they shot the ball well and made big time plays, and maybe we had an off night. That happens. But obviously, you've got to do everything in your power and your preparation to make sure that doesn't happen. And if you've had a good week of preparation or a couple of days of preparation, then you're okay with your team's performance in terms of hopefully there are things within the game that you've done, that you've practiced, and sometimes it doesn't always go well. But we're talking about the things we can do. We still have an outside shot at maybe winning a league championship. We're dreaming big, on the things that are out in front of us. But you've got to worry week to week on what your plan is. Your prep. I think as a coach, where's the energy level of your players, like keeping your guys excited and fresh and
they should be. I mean, listen, they should be excited. Like you said, you're 12-1 in the league. You have a chance now. Yeah.
2.
What did I say? 12-1. I'm at 12-2. Sorry, 12-2. 12-2 in the league. You're right there.
Yeah.
You might need a little help, but you're right there where you have a chance where nobody thought going into the year.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of giving it to Duke at this point. All right. I'm going to close with this. So I told you before we started that I bought a place. I'm going to be a South Carolina resident now.
Yeah.
Bought a place in Charleston. Give me some advice here of being a South Carolina resident. You've been doing it a long time now, and you came from the Midwest. I'm coming from Boston. First of all, do you get to Charleston at all or not much?
Yeah. I mean, I get there probably almost once. Well, I get there once a year because we come down and speak every year. I don't always get to stay for 3 or 4 days, but we try to make it down. Yeah. Every other year, if not, for wife and I go down there and hang out a little bit and spend a little time. And obviously we've got a ton of great friends who are from Charleston and big boosters and just people that we've become great friends with over the years. One of the great things about South Carolina that you kind of take for granted, I mean, we're up here in the upstate. We can be in the mountains right in 45 minutes to an hour. So you've got 45 minutes to an hour. I can be in the mountains. 4 hours, I can be on the coast. I can be in Charleston. You've got the whole Hilton Head Bluffton area, which is phenomenal. It's a great place to live because it's so different, right? And obviously the weather's awesome. People are great. There's a reason a lot of people are moving down here.
Yeah, no, the people listen, it's a little different, Brad, going from Boston to Charleston. People are actually saying, hello in the morning when I go for my, walk to get my iced coffee. Back in Boston, that didn't happen. That didn't happen.
Head down and freezing.
That's what it would be. No, that's what it would be. And now, like, hey, listen, 50 degrees isn't so cold now. It feels pretty good going out. Right. So good thing I'll be by a lot more. It's a little bit of a drive, but not too bad. And certainly you guys keep winning like you did. I feel bad that I haven't been by this year, but it's been a challenging year of, selling our house, trying to figure out life. And we just ended up buying the place in Charleston last week. So we will.
Congrats, buddy. Welcome to South Carolina.
Next time you get to Charleston, you got to call. All right. I know you got some boosters. They're up there. They're more important than me. I get it. But I'll meet you for a coffee